I think, so getting back to your main question, every studio is different. Every studio has different goals. And I think the vendor they choose kind of tells you what their goals are.
Right.
You know, well, and to talk candidly, we lost the lost business to Profiles in History.
Mm-hmm.
Not because, I mean, they have no experience doing high-profile event like we did with Battlestar Galactica, where you actually display everything and invite the fans in, and you know, but they sell high-dollar items. They've sold items for a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, Disney was more concerned about, hey, we want to get the biggest bang for the buck. So you deal with that with each studio, and I think as a company, you determine what's important to you. You know, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? I want to do things like Battlestar Galactica because it was a lot of fun, and you know, we have now when someone says, "What do you do?" I can just happen to have them back here, but I can go into a case and say, I think we probably produced the two best auction catalogs, probably custom auction catalogs ever, two best events for people who came to a live event. That's pretty cool. That makes me happy. That makes me feel like, wow, I just spent the last year of my life and we really accomplished something awesome. We didn't just make money. I think you spend all that time on your blog because it's your passion. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing here. No one pays you for what you're doing. And we get paid, but I'm doing what I love doing. So it's really a labor of love. And if you start, I mean, we have this discussion internally all the time. If we start doing just any project that gets thrown at us,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes a money-making operation rather than a passion which we make money at. I think there's a big difference there.
So with Lost, how do you think you would have handled it differently than you would expect Profiles to manage the auctions? I mean, I know a lot of details haven't been released yet.
Yeah.
I spoke with Joe this morning. It sounds like they're going to have pretty much everything from the show. They're going to have a standalone, dedicated auction.
Right, sure. Yeah, sure they are. Our Profiles, again, I think Disney's going to get what they chose Profiles based on, hey, they sell stuff for a lot of money. Now, will they be able to sell lost items for a lot of money? I doubt it. I think Joe's probably going to find out that, he's better off doing another one of his Profiles in History auctions than doing a lost auction. I mean, they make millions of dollars every time they do one of their Profiles. Their gross is, and I think he might be in for a surprise on Lost. I mean, Lost is not a $10 million auction.
Mm-hmm.
Battlestar Galactica, we did, 2 live auctions and 5-6 months worth of eBay auctions, and it wasn't, it was not a huge number. It wasn't Star Trek Christie's $7 million number. As what we would do different, well, I think, I don't know, because we don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
Can they step up their game? Because that's the big question. Because if you can take our, if you take this catalog and you compare it to a Profiles catalog, there's no comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Profiles can't match up to this. And what's really funny is that the week they got the lost gig, Brian calls me up and says, "Can you send me a copy of your catalog?" Which was the signal that told me that they got the gig. I knew as soon as he made that call, I said, "Oh, they must have gotten it."
Mm-hmm.
So they know what the standard is. If they want to do something, they're going to have to step up their game because their other catalogs are pretty mediocre in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good because it helps the industry. Always happy to compete against a worthy opponent, right? And they're certainly, I think they've been the big dog for a while, and I think I like that. I like having competition, good competition. But I think our events were so great because I think we had a vision that no one else has really had in this space other than the Star Trek auction,
Mm-hmm.
which Christie's, the biggest auction house in the world, did with Mike and Denise Okuda from Star Trek. So there were, they had great intellectual horsepower behind that event, and I think that's what we brought to Battlestar Galactica and to this hobby. I mean, we're kind of saying, hey, this is the standard now, so let's see, what everyone else can do.
So who do you think your competitors are today? Because, I mean, do you know if Christie's even looks for this kind of
I
business,
don't think
or
so.
was that
It's too
just a
small.
one-off?
It's
Yeah.
too small. I mean, honestly, I don't think Christie's would be interested in a lot of these events because they're too small. I think, obviously, Profiles has decided to step into our space, into this, we use the term studio reseller. And as we talked about, it's probably a bad term,
Right.
studio agent, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, they stepped in, so we'll see. So they're obviously a competitor. It's a Wrap continues to be a competitor, but I think, again, they don't do what we do. They're a used clothing store for the most part.
Do you know if It's a Wrap consistently still tries to source this kind of business?
Oh, I know they do. I know they do because we keep running into them. I mean, we beat them out for the Battlestar business, and I know they pitched Marvel because Marvel told me that It's a Wrap really hates me, and so I know they try, but I think they're limited by their intellectual horsepower. I mean, they just outside TR, who runs the business and has done a great job with that, running that business for a while, they just don't have the intellectual horsepower to do the vision. And I'm not meaning they're stupid over there. I mean, they just don't have the vision to do this. What they do is they sell used clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're geared towards, and they do a very good job of it. I mean, I told Disney, a couple of times, Disney said, well, when they asked me about World Accordion Gym, I said, give it to It's a Wrap. That's who, when you have a show like that with lots of civilian clothing, they're the best at selling that stuff. What we do is high-end auctions. That's where we focus. So I think, are they a competitor? Absolutely. Are we really going to be in the finals with them? I doubt it. I think it's going to be Profiles. It might be Premiere. And you never know who else steps into the limelight. I mean, a year ago, I was brand new. No one thought we could do Battlestar Galactica worth a damn. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so if someone decides that they have a vision and they can do it better, they can come in and, who knows? There's no barrier to entry. There's no competitive barrier to entry in this business. And I don't make money. My success isn't going to be based on who I'm competing against. It's going to be based on how good a job we do. So we have to constantly raise our game, which a Profiles getting lost helps us raise our game. It forces you not to be complacent, to reach out, and I think we did. I think our response to losing that business, it forced me to do something that we're really excited about, that we're really, that hopefully in another month or so we'll be able to make an announcement that would be really kind of earth-shaking in this business. So we're excited. I look forward to it. So to answer your question, I think Profiles is our biggest competitor right now. Premiere Props, It's a Wrap on a very low-level basis, but other than that, I think that's that's probably it.
So that's kind of interesting because probably 2 months ago you would never consider Profiles to be
No,
a
absolutely
competitor,
not. No.
correct? And now they're your
Yeah.
top competitor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they decided to get our space. Again, no barrier to entry. They saw the success of what we did. They wanted to copy it. Now, of course, they postponed their auction to do Lost, to go over to Kauai and inventory that stuff. I think the question for them is going to be, they're going to reassess next year and say, wow, was it worth what we make off of one of our catalogs to postpone it to do Lost? Right now we've got Universal Studios and we've got Marvel Studios. We're real happy about that. There's other business in the works that we're working on. Hey, there's, no one can do everything. So there'll be business for both of us. And I think over the long run, cream rises to the top. People are going to see who's better at whatever it is that you're looking to do.